Will Acura's first ever subcompact crossover earn straight A's? Let's find out. Welcome to Modern Motoring, I'm Jay, and we are with the 2025 Acura ADX. This should have come out at least 5 years ago. I think it would have made Acura a lot more competitive, but better late than never, right? Right. So let's go through some baseline numbers, perks, quirks, irks, touch on pricing and competition, and then you'll get a nice, clean and clear understanding of what exactly an Acura ADX is. So under the hood, we have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 190 horsepower, 179 pound-feet of torque, all-wheel drive is standard, and it runs through a CVT. So similar to the Acura Integra engine, the Integra is tuned a little higher. Let's start off with the perks, and the Acura Watch safety systems, which are standard, is a big one for me. So highlights include automatic high beams, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, forward collision warning, adaptive cruise control, driver attention warning, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and traffic jam assist. So there are a lot. Cargo space is a big one. 690 liters with the seats down and 1,560 with the seats up. Now the asterisk here is that's on the ADX and the A-Spec. If you opt for the top trim, those numbers come down just a touch. There is no goofy touchpad. Thank you, Acura, for modernizing your vehicles and not putting that touchpad. Now, the alternative is a little quirky, which I'll touch on in the quirk section, but I will take all the peculiar designs here of this center area as opposed to a touchpad. Next up is that these seats on the top trim Platinum Elite A-Spec are excellent. And the same seats come with the middle trim, which is the A-Spec. It's leatherette with suede inserts, and they are just so comfortable. And for those who think that this ADX is just a dressed up HRV, not at all. Not at all. Yes, there are some Honda bits here, but this is a very Acura interior, and they are heated as standard fare. And on the top two trims, you get the ventilated option. On the Acura USA press release, it says specifically it comes with a volume knob. And I don't think Honda will ever live down the fact that they took out a volume knob for the Civic for a few years, but you know, whatever. Next up is the HVAC system. It is all physical. There are no silly nonsense garbage making you go through the screen controls. So thank you, Acura, for not following that trend that nearly every other luxury manufacturer has. On the top two trims, you get a pair of USB ports in the rear, and yes, it's a subcompact crossover, so you might not have somebody in that rear seat often, but if you do, and you opt for the A-Spec or the Platinum Elite, know that there is connectivity back there. The drive feel here is a huge perk because the ADX drives so well and it corners and handles with such ease. And yes, it's the smallest crossover Acura makes now, but maneuverability is excellent. Sight lines are excellent. Yeah, it's got a CVT, and you know what? Whatever. It's what Acura does. It's what Honda does. That's just how it is. But it's one of the better CVTs out there. I'll give you a quick audio sample. Now it sounds good, not great, but if you want something in this class and drive feel matters to you, this is one of the better ones. I just find such comfort behind the wheel here, and it is relatively quiet in here. This truly does feel like an Acura vehicle with some Honda bits, as opposed to a Honda vehicle tossed in with some Acura bits and pieces. It's easy to drive, it's easy to park. Again, the maneuverability is excellent here. It stays fairly flat for what this vehicle is designed for, which is, you know, your daily driver, not too much fancy and fun driving, but it's a very function-first drive feel, but there's still a lot of luxurious elements to it, and I just feel that Acura has done so well here, and they've really baked in their DNA for their driving feel as best they can without something that has their super handling all-wheel drive and without something with tons of power. Wrapping up on the perks side of things, a panoramic sunroof comes standard. Bit of a rare move here, but I'm happy they've done it. And with this black interior, the way it's spec'd, you can get different versions. I think without it, it would feel very closed in. I usually don't touch on looks all that much, but I'll make an exception in this case because I feel this is, again, true an Acura-made vehicle with Honda's pieces added here and there. You get the predictable and typical and recognizable front end. It looks a little like the HRV from the rear, just a touch, but one thing that stands out the most to me is how they've angled that tailgate, and they've put the logo on the angled up part as opposed to putting it flat like we have on every other Acura vehicle. Quick touch on fuel consumption, and then we'll go into the Quirks side of things. So 53-liter fuel tank. Natural Resources Canada has this at 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Good, not great, and simple math tells me I can go a touch over 600 kilometers on a full tank of fuel based off those two numbers. One more perk than the Quirks, I promise. This optional 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen audio system, best in class, hands down. It sounds so good. You get your roof-mounted speakers. You get the ones in the A-pillars with a peculiar shape, but they sound so good. And it only comes on the top trim Platinum Elite, but I think that alone is worth the $4,500 price difference between the mid-trim and the top trim. More on that on the pricing side. It is so crystal clear. Even when you crank it up, you kind of expect that distortion to kick in and just wreck the music. But low volume, mid volume, high volume, this 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen system, sounds spectacular. On to the Quirk side of things. On the base trim, you get a manually adjustable passenger seat. Weird in the luxury world, even for a base trim. Little quirky, deal breaker, probably not. Next up is the front cup holder situation. Almost every other vehicle has it side by side or one in front of the other. Here, well, that's not the case because you have one right by your elbow, and then the gear selector, drive modes, and a few other things. And then right next to the wireless charging bay, you have another cup holder. And I don't care. Like I said in the beginning, it doesn't have that silly trackpad. And if this is the best that the Acura engineers could do to get rid of the trackpad and still include a couple of cup holders, I will take it 8 days a week. The speakers in the A-pillar are very unique. It's not the usual, just put a mesh cover over it and call it a day. It's not flush. It actually has a part that juts out a bit to accommodate the speaker. I think it looks cool. I think it sounds cool, but it's not every day that you see something like this as far as the creativity. The gear lever is exceptionally tall and large and sticks out, and I've knocked it a couple of times when I was trying to get one of my water bottles out of one of my two cup holders. It's a little weird that in 2025 we have something that was common 10, 15, 20 years ago. The infotainment system is plucked straight out of a Honda, and that's fine. What Acura has done here in the ADX is they've kept a bit of their design language as far as the animations of those dots that are constantly in motion. Onto the Irks side, and the biggest one is why this is gasoline only. We know Honda knows how to make hybrids. The Civic Hybrid is excellent. The CR-V Hybrid is also excellent. I think they should have made this entirely hybrid, because if you put one trim out of 3 as a hybrid, it's not the best allocation of resources, prices go up. But again, having this as gas only in a world where we're going constantly towards alternative propulsion, and the fact that they have the technology already in-house, I just don't understand why it's the way it is. There's a very closed-in feeling in the driver's seat, and between the tall gear lever and this piece that juts out separating the driver and passenger, which angles off towards the passenger, which is nice, but it's really high. So I feel very closed in, and the lining and design on my door is fairly thick, so it just kind of makes me feel not quite claustrophobic, but I think they could have done a little more on the design side to maybe open things up a little bit, maybe add a couple of extra inches of space. The instrument cluster is not fully digital, and while I don't care about that, some people might, because a lot of the competitors do have fully digital instrument clusters. Most of it's digital, but the bookends being your temperature control and your gas gauge, they're digital, but they're not part of the screen. On to the pricing side of things, and these are your Canadian MSRPs. So for the ADX entry level, it is $44,980. bump up to the mid-trim A-Spec for $2,000 more at $46,980, and go all the way to the top to the Platinum Elite A-Spec, and that is $51,480. That $4,500 difference between the mid and top trim gets you the following. It gets you lumbar support for the driver's seat, parking sensors, that wickedly good 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen audio system. You get a 360 cam, you get memory seats, you get an individual drive mode. I don't know how many people would actually take advantage of the individual drive mode settings, but it's here on the top trim. You get low speed braking. You also get a power tailgate and a Google built in. So I would absolutely go top trim. All those features for only $4,500, totally worth it, and it really elevates the experience. Let's wrap up with competition, and here are your base prices in Canadian MSRPs. $44,605 for the Lexus UX, $48,300 for the BMW X1, a little more for the X2, $51,500 for the Mercedes-Benz GLA. And from there we go to the Volvo XC40 for $46,900. Audi's A3 starts at $42,500, and the Cadillac XT4 is $48,899. And most importantly, it provides an alternative to the RDX. If you are an Acura fan, if you're a Honda fan, you like the brand, you've had previous ones, whatever your reasons are for wanting an Acura, before that you had to take the RDX if you wanted something small, and RDX equivalent to the CR-V, but maybe you don't want that, maybe you don't need that, but that's all that was available. Now there's something in the subcompact world. It looks good, it feels good, it drives well, it's priced well. And there's a ton of standard features: wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless charging. You get the heated seats, you get the heated steering wheel, you get the panoramic sunroof. It looks great, it feels great, and you get a ton of cargo space. So yes, the RDX has a lot more cargo space and a lot more power, but it's not always about that. It's about functionality, and this really puts an exclamation point on the Acura lineup now. That's going to wrap it up for the 2025 Acura ADX. Let me know if you have any questions on what you've seen. I'm happy to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate the support. I invite you to join the social media platforms for Modern Motoring. We are on all the major ones. Without you, there is no Modern Motoring. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.